Arsenal are the winner of the 2026 Premier League Championship. In the season beginning in 2025, it's Arsenal, that's Gematria 25. The reason why Arsenal did win last year is that they don't lift the cup in the year 25, but they lift the Premier League trophy in the season beginning in year 25. And the Queen is a huge avid supporter of Arsenal, a fan for over 50 years. The Gunners is 50. Now in 2026 is the year that Arsenal are crowned Premier League champions as a tribute to the late Queen in the crown of the British throne. This is the 34th edition of the Premier League. Arsenal FC is Gematria 34. They can win the 34th edition of the English Premier League. Queen Elizabeth died in Arsenal's last match before the Queen's death was their first loss of the season at Old Trafford before the Queen died. Arsenal avenge that loss at Old Trafford in their very first match of this season at Old Trafford, the same site of their last match before the Queen died. Arsenal are going to beat Man United at Old Trafford. The beginning of a Premier League championship run against their biggest and most hated enemy of them all, Manchester United, by far the biggest rival of Arsenal in their entire history. It begins, a title-winning season begins at Old Trafford. One of their titles with Arsene Wenger was clinched at Old Trafford, and they will do so this season. The Queen died September 8th of 2022. If they win the Premier League in late April, early May, it would be 44 months later that Arsenal win the league. 44 is Gematria champions. Champions is Gematria 44. Notice in the season of the Queen's death, they finished with 88 goals and 43 allowed and 26 wins. Queen's Gematria 26. Elizabeth is 88 and 43. That was a rigged, scripted Premier League campaign. How about the table for the other season in which they fell short of the title? Yeah, you think about Declan Rice. Queen was a fan of both West Ham and Arsenal. She number one is Arsenal, number two is West Ham. Declan Rice's first goal with Arsenal came against Man United too. What if Victor Gyökeres' first goal occurs against Man United? In the Premier League that season, Arsenal finished 62 goal differential, 28 wins and 91 goals. 28's Gematria of Crown. Crown is 28 in Gematria. Crown is Gematria of goal differential of 62. Goal differential of 62 is Gematria of Queen. 91 goals would be Gematria of crowning someone, which is coronate in Spanish. Arteta himself is Spanish. You know, 33 previous Premier Leagues. 33 is the number of the Masons, the elites, the cabal, the politicians, the House of Lords, the congressmen, the senators in America, all the successful CEOs, businessmen, they're all Freemasons. 33 degrees in standard Scottish Rite Freemasonry, and there have been 33 prior Premier Leagues. 69 goals last year for Arsenal. 69 is, I think, a match of Queen Elizabeth. And these numbers are not coincidental, by the way. This shows just how rigged and scripted the Premier League really is. They gave Liverpool their 20th title before the death of number 20, Diego Jota. Last year was a tribute before Diego Jota's death. But now, in year 26, it is a scripted championship for Arsenal that is going to finally come into fruition at this very grand moment. Balmoral Castle's Camacho the 44 months later that Arsenal win the Premier League. She died at Aberdeenshire, Scotland. In Gematria, it's Scotland. That's Gematria of Elizabeth, Gematria of 88, Scotland's Gematria of Arsenal, 2025. The season beginning in year 25. Aberdeenshire's Gematria of Championship. You think about Gematria Championship, you think about the first game against the Red Devils, or that's not 68 Gematria, but Championship 68, Guy Carras, 68 goals in the league, in the Portuguese league. 97 goals with Portugal. His 98th goal with Arsenal, I think we can see an opening goal against the Red Devils. 97 goals in Portugal, his first goal scored as an Arsenal player against Man United. What about the day of Arteta's first victory in 2020 to the time that he does win the scripted Premier League Championship? Looks like we get 76 months. Aberdeenshire's Camacho 76. As far as Arteta goes, Arteta is the 43 goals allowed in 22-23 Premier League. What about the FA Cup final? The last major trophy excluding the Community Shields, the FA Cup in 2020 to the time of their next major honor. So that was a last late celebration before 2 years later when the Queen died. 25 months later, the Queen died from Arsenal's last trophy. Because 2022, September, that's 24, 12 months by 2 years, then 1 month after, that's how I get the 25 months. 69 months later, Arsenal can win their next Premier League title from the time of their last trophy. Their 69 goals scored last season. Queen Elizabeth is Gematria of 69. What about Queen Elizabeth II Gematria? What do we get with that? Queen Elizabeth II is 87. Coronate 87. Or better yet, what is the full name of the Queen? Elizabeth Alexandra Mary, 99 previous consecutive seasons in the top flight. This would be their 100th consecutive season in the top flight. So last year was their 99th consecutive season in the top flight. So as far as interpretation goes, their 99 previous seasons in the top flight before Arsenal can win. Their 109th season in the top flight overall. I always think, it's funny. Coronation's Camacho of Old Trafford, 56. Arsenal FC, the season beginning at Old Trafford. And Guy Carras, Sporting is Camacho 56. They begin at Old Trafford. Victor's 87. Queen Elizabeth II, 87. So how many winners and runner-ups in the history of the Gunners? 22 years Arsenal win the Premier League, 22 years later. 21 previous years without winning. City were winning a lot of these titles. Title is 21, Declan Rice. 33 previous seasons without winning the Premier League. Then a long-awaited championship. Just 21 seasons without winning the Premier League, and then year 22. So this is their 26th top two finish. In their 26th top two finish, they do win the Premier League. And again, 26 is Gematria of Queen. Anything with Diego Jota, but again, he's number 20. They win the Premier League right before his death. And the UEFA Nation League, by the way. So Pep is still there. Man City, without Kevin De Bruyne, could they get a 17th top two finish but get their 7th runner-up? Liverpool and Manchester United tied at the top. But are Man United willing to sacrifice so Arsenal can win the Premier League so they stay at 20 titles? Ultimately, that's what may be in play right now. As far as the beginning of the season, we can go to the date, duration, and Josh Kroenke is... And the 34th Premier League is to be won by the Kroenkes. Kroenke's Gematria, the 34th Premier League. 34th Premier League should be won by a team under the ownership of the Kroenkes. Arsenal begin the friendlies against AC Milan. Milan is Gematria 22 years without winning the Premier League. And AC Milan be Gematria of 2026. Can he score? It's always significant days relating to the birthdays. June of this year to the time of his Arsenal debut at Old Trafford. '74 is a very big number. 74's Masonic is 74, and that's the God number because G-D in Hebrew gives you 7-4. Occult is 74. 74, I want to say, Victor Gyökeres is Gematria of Arsenal FC and Gematria champion, for example. Victor Gyökeres is 74. He's making his Arsenal debut 74 days after his birthday. That's a very, very big date duration in Gematria. So I think he'll be another first-time goal scorer in Arsenal shirt against Man United. Declan Rice and now Gyökeres. As far as the player being from Sweden, well, Stockholm is Gematria of Gunners, defending champions entering the year of the 35th Premier League. Sweden by itself is Gematria 70. The Queen was Queen for close to 70 years. Sweden is 70 and Arsenal is 70 and 25. And notice how Old Trafford is 119 and Arsenal is 119. So it seems like the narrative is revolving around Arsenal to win the league. They finally get the striker I need a striker. I need a striker. Striker is Camacho, the Queen's coronation in year 53. Striker can make a big debut. A striker is going to win the Premier League, and Arsenal's 100th consecutive season in the top flight. So this is what we get. What about the time from the death of the throne to the day that the season begins? And 17 is 8 and 2026 is 10, and that's, we're in 2025 still. 25-7, the date adds up. 25-7. But hey, 35 months after the Queen died, Stockholm is 35, Gunners is 35. The Premier League championship run begins 35 months after the Queen's death for the Gunners. And now with the striker born on Stockholm.